Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Got Genevieve Wood on. She's with the Heritage Foundation, one of the country's premier conservative think tanks. And he is, I tell you, a lot of things going on out there about Obamacare being hazardous to your health. A lot of medical doctors worried about it. And she's involved with with this recent article. There are 10 ways Obamacare isn't working. And I bet you could probably come up with more than that, but these are the 10 biggest, right?
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Good. I mean, there is just so many fronts. You know, the biggest thing that's not working for Obamacare is the political realities. You know, no matter, I mean, don't get me wrong, if they implement this, it's an unmitigated disaster. But on Obama's side, the biggest factors that are hurting him are the political realities.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. I don't know if you had a chance to see this, but a poll came out yesterday, not from the Heritage Foundation, not from the Wall Street Journal or Fox News, but from CNN, showing that the support for Obamacare has gone down across all demographic groups. From, I think it was like around 50% who several months ago had supported most provisions according to CNN in the law, and now that number was down to only 39% of Americans supported most provisions in the law. And two of the groups that had most given up support were women and people making under $50,000. Mm-hmm. So it's not exactly folks that people normally go, well, that's the conservative base.
Yeah.
These are average Americans who, as you know, the news continues to come out and they see what's happening, I think are beginning to wake up to the fact this may not be good for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It may indeed be hazardous to their health, as our billboard says.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and talk about the billboard. Go ahead, because I know you're dying to. So go ahead and where's it at, and tell us about that.
Sure. Well, I mean, this is a debate, obviously, as you know, and your listeners, though, has been going on for a few years now, the debate over Obamacare. And right where to point, October 1 is going to be the date where many people will have to go into these exchanges. And so we're saying, look, the only way to stop Obamacare at this point is to defund it. It's a law, but Congress has the ability to not allocate dollars to implement the law. They absolutely have that power. So they can defund it, and we don't have to go into Obamacare and start ruining our country's health care system. To draw awareness to that, to play up the fact that more and more people are beginning to kind of see that reality, we did a 9-city tour earlier this summer, all across the country. Very good response from people at the grassroots level. So we said, all right, what do we do next to continue to get that momentum going, to make sure everybody sees it? One of the biggest stages in America, of course, is Times Square. So we put a big billboard up. It's 6 stories high that says, warning, Obamacare may be hazardous to your health. Mm-hmm. We encourage people then to text hazard to the number on the billboard. And then what they get from that are hard policy facts that back up that statement.
Okay, there you go. It's right there at Times Square, one of my favorite places to visit, located on 42nd Street between 7th and 8th Avenues. It's 90 feet long, 67 feet high. And they suggest you do not try to scale it because that could be dangerous. But
that could also be hazardous to your
that's
health.
Right. Just look at it. Look at it and tell others about it. This is really uncharacteristic for Heritage.
Well, look, the battle that we're in is uncharacteristic in some ways for America. I mean, the takeover of our country's health care system is not a debate that we have every day here, and there is a lot at stake. We felt it was really important to put a major stake in the ground, and we've been churning out the policy on this for the entire time the debate's been going on, but really reaching your average citizen who, doesn't have time to read every single piece that we put forward or that other organizations put forward, but is beginning to feel uneasy about this. This is a way to grab their attention. A lot of people come to New York that, are not even from New York, people all over the country. And, of course, a good chunk of the nation's media is there. But we really want to put a stake in the ground and say this is that important. This really, really matters, folks.
How long are you going to be running it?
We're there up through October 13th. And, of course, the real debate over Obamacare is likely to be over the next couple of weeks is when Congress, particularly the House, is taking up, are we going to pass a continuing resolution to keep the budget going? There's going to be a battle over the debt limit. And we firmly believe, look, you can fund the government and keep it going and just not pay for Obamacare.
Yeah.
So when folks hear the White House and others saying, they're going to shut down the government, no, it would be up to the president if he decided to do that, because Congress can fund Social Security, our military, everything we need to fund, and just not fund Obamacare, and everything remains fine.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't sign off on that, it'll be President Obama who makes a call to shut down the government.
Let me ask you real quickly, because there's this interesting debate going on. You got a bunch of Tea Partiers up there protesting both houses of Congress. They're really infuriated at the House because they seem to be coming up with a plan that doesn't have the funding of Obamacare as a direct part of the plan, but instead of is going to force senators to actually vote and have a position on it before they get to the primary spending crisis issue. I think I explained it as well as I could. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. What do you think about the House strategy? What do you think about the Tea Party criticism of it?
Well, I think the Tea Party folks are absolutely right, and I would encourage all your listeners to make sure that their members understand that. This is not everybody in the House, but House leadership, they're trying to pull a fast one, frankly. It's saying that you're against something, but not really being willing to go to the mat to do what you can do with the power that you have as Congress, holding the purse strings in the House. You're not willing to go to the mat and defund this thing. It's an outrage, frankly. These are folks who have voted 40-some-odd times to repeal Obamacare. Now they actually have the opportunity to put the stake in the ground and say, we're not going to pay for it, and they're doing some trickery to kind of make it look like that's what they're doing, but knowing that the Senate's not going to go along with it.
So,
totally
Boehner,
not a good way to go.
So Boehner, who I affectionately called the wiener of the House, or the crybaby of the House, whatever you want to call him, he came up with a plan. The idea of it, because I used to work in the Senate, and so I kind of have a little bit of a sense of what's going on here. The idea behind it is that what they're looking for is a referendum issue in the next election cycle. That's what I think he's trying to get from this. Do you not agree?
Well, that may be what he's trying to get, but look, while he's doing that, Obamacare is going to go into effect. People are going to have to be put into these exchanges. There's going to be it will be much tougher to walk back from this law once it really starts going into full implementation. There's a way to keep it from happening, and that's called defunding. Look, as somebody, I think it was Congressman Kingston from Georgia said yesterday, this is a tough political fight, no matter which road we go. So why not take the principled path and the right road and truly do what we can do to stop this thing from implementing? Let's stop using it as a political toy to try to win elections. Let's try to truly use the power that we have to stop this law from destroying our health care system. That's what we elect these folks to do, not think about the next election constantly.
Yeah, and I agree. And by the way, I agree entirely with the Tea Party and your position on this. I just want people to understand what the House is trying to do, and I think it's a ridiculously risky proposition, and I think they should stick to their guns and really, now more than ever, they seem to have the American people in their corner.
That's increasingly, every new poll that comes out shows more and more Americans are uneasy with this law. They don't think it's fair. Clearly it's not. They don't think it's affordable, and they don't think it's going to work. And all those things are true. No matter which angle you look at it, it's costing far more than they told us it was going to cost. It's not fair in a number of ways. But, look at all the folks who've gotten because of their powerful lobby in Washington, are getting exemptions from having to live by this. And it doesn't work. And you're going to have the IRS enforce it. This is the kind of thing that I think the more people know. We should have had this debate long before the law was voted on.
And we should have not had
given that chance.
We should not have had bribery, like what took place in Nebraska, what took place in Louisiana, the Louisiana Purchase, and those type of things.
That's right.
I had Blanche Leakin on my show, and I explained to her how she's no longer a U.S. senator, and she couldn't buy into that. This is just the reality. It was a bad bill. People have continued to suffer from it, and now the American people have an opportunity to shed itself of it. Genevieve Wood, I'm going to start asking for you by name whenever we get people on from Heritage.
I love it. Well, I'm a native Texan, so I love being on with folks in Texas.
Well, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Make sure you check out Genevieve and all the great folks over there at heritage.org. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you the best content here. It shows up over there at usdailyreview.com, and you're listening to The Price of Business.